Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. Today I would like to have a bit of a discussion regarding Kislev. Recently I released a video in regards to the Chaos Dwarves being a possible pre-order incentive for Total War Warhammer 3. And I did notice through the comments that a lot of people are somewhat expecting Kislev to be the DLC incentive, which in all honesty could also be possibly true. But in my opinion, I believe that Kislev will be best served as a base game race for Game 3, and we'll go over that in just a second. Before anything, the screenshots that you can see on screen right now are that of the Kislev Reborn mod. I'll have the mod linked in the description below should you wish to have a go at it. Honestly, it's one of my favorite active mods on the workshop. But without further ado, let's begin. Kislev is a much anticipated faction for Total War Warhammer 3. Their addition into the series has been highly requested ever since the announcement of the Total War Warhammer series. And while they haven't been officially confirmed for the game series, it's safe to say more or less that we will eventually see them. Why is that? Well, Kislev was always a rather popular race. Memes aside, they had some interesting lore and some interesting units. They had their own army book, well, more of a supplement in 6th edition, and unfortunately were not seen soon after that. But the fans still continued to ask for Kislev. There was even a rumour that we would have seen them in a possible 9th edition, but we all know what happened with that. Of course, with the addition of the Vampire Coast, a faction which was also a supplement back in the day, many people started to look towards Kislev. And then of course with Games Workshop announcing Warhammer the Old World, with the first faction confirmed to be Kislev, well, a lot of people took that as more or less confirmation. And yes, we shouldn't because, well, Old World is a completely different game to Total War Warhammer, but they are generally linked in a certain way. It's the same universe after all. And let's be honest, both Creative Assembly and Games Workshop would probably be looking towards that sweet Kislevite money, so it's likely we will see them. However, I don't think they will be a DLC. We discussed this in the Chaos Dwarf video, where there aren't really any good aligned factions left. The Ogre Kingdoms and the Dogs of War are both neutral aligned factions. They were indeed one of the very few who are actually considered to be so. A good faction, more specifically either human or human-like, tend to be the most popular at the beginning of a game's launch, where it is pretty common knowledge that the Empire in Game 1 were the most popular at the start, and the Hyles were the most popular for Game 2. This of course might have changed as time has gone on, purely because, well, DLC has come out, some factions have been made more interesting, and so on and so forth. I, for one, in a personal note, don't really tend to go for the more human factions, but then again that's just me. And let's be honest here, it's in Creative Assembly's best interest to include a good aligned faction. With their possible inclusion as a base game race, well then we'll have what? A good aligned faction, possibly 1 or 2 evil ones, or 1 or 2 neutral ones. Everything in terms of alignment has been covered. Of course, we might have some conflicting ideas about this, but this is why this video exists. As a final note, it's obvious that if Creative Assembly does implement Kislev as a playable race, they would most likely take inspiration from that of the Old World. As I had stated before, we are aware that Games Workshop themselves had confirmed that Kislev is getting a complete rework, new units, new lore, and stuff like that, where they'll most likely be expanding upon the things already available. These new units, heroes, or whatever else is added would then be considered canon. And yes, the time frame between the Old World and Warhammer Fantasy is expected to be quite far, but it is important to note that while time does move, a lot of things don't really change too much. The same weaponry could still be found, the same units, and so on. They're going back and adding in more things, which then technically would have maybe existed by that point in Warhammer Fantasy. A perfect example of this would be the basic gunpowder weaponry and that of the steam tank. They were created a long time ago in the lore, and nothing really got expanded upon them. In truth, the steam tanks themselves were never able to be replicated. But let's not digress. We'll have to look at this logically in a certain sense here, where if Creative Assembly are going to use the new units implemented by Games Workshop in Old World, then I'm assuming Creative Assembly would have to wait in regards to see what those units are by Games Workshop. Games Workshop themselves have stated that they're still a long way off in regards to anything Old World related in a playable basis. And while of course Games Workshop and CA work together in regards to DLC and so on, we don't know exactly how much is going to be changed for Kislev. Of course, we know the addition of the new Bear Riders and of course those Ice Witch bodyguards, but even then there's still probably more to be added in if they want a full and complete roster, of course. So if it goes from GW then to CA, there might be a bit more time needed to create Kislev, which is why originally I stated that maybe it would be better for the Chaos Dwarves to be the DLC pre-order race. They have an army book, they have a supplement book, everything's pretty much there for a full complete roster. For my last note here, generally when races are implemented in the form of DLC, they normally come with 4 DLC lords now. Let's be honest here, with the size of Kislev, there's really not a lot you could do without having them all stuck together in a whole Lustria Bowl situation. And what, more than likely we'll see 2 legendary lords. We'll see Lady Katerina and her father Boris. There weren't really that many characters implemented for Kislev. A few were established in the books and in the RPG series, but the grand majority of them really had next to no lore, whereas these 2 famously known characters seem like a obvious pick. And if it's only just 2 characters that they want to implement, then it probably makes sense for them to be a base game race, which, as far as we've seen so far, have only been implemented with 2 legendary lords. Of course, other pre-order incentives, the Chaos Warriors, were implemented with 3, and Norska was implemented with 2, but that was before they started changing things up in terms of format when implementing new races. Of course, I could be very wrong here, as I stated before. This is just a personal opinion, but I honestly believe that Kislev should be a base game race. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's start a bit of a discussion. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince, and Okro for subscribing to us at our Fane level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VS Vasan, Aaron Whitman, and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing, and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel's been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.